what is the first thing, I'm sorry, Chris, can you hit the left light, please? Thanks, buddy. What is the first thing that I always ask you guys to do when given a problem like this? Chief? Yes, you draw a graph. You just sketch a graph, otherwise I'll start calling you Tim Westwood. This is 10, comma 2. Is everyone okay with this being 10, comma 2? And then 10, negative 8. Oops. 10, comma negative 8 will be down here. So this is 10, comma negative 8. And then my foci are at 10, comma 1, so right here, and at 10, negative 7, so here. Who can raise their hand and tell us what type of ellipse does this have to be? Kinda. Gotta be vertical. It's gotta look like this. So we should reasonably expect our bigger number to be under which variable? Chris? Under y. Alright, let's just keep that in mind. I need to find the center of this thing. Well, the center is used by finding the midpoint of the vertices, so that's center is going to equal 10 plus 10 over 2, comma 2 plus negative 8 over 2. So my center is going to be 10, comma, well that's negative 6, so that's negative 3. Alright, so here's my center. 10, comma, negative 3, and I apologize for the small writing. Alright, so now I can write out the bulk of this equation here. This is going to be x plus, minus 10 quantity squared plus y plus 3 quantity squared equals 1. Can we agree on that? That is the bulk of the equation. Okay, good. The way I find the values that go underneath here is I have to count from the center to an edge. So I'll do that. What is the distance between 10, comma, negative 3 and 10, comma, negative 8? Because it's vertical, you don't need to consider the tens, you need to consider the distance between negative 3 and negative 8. What is that distance, Chris? It is 5. Now, because I go from the center to a major edge, which letter does 5 represent? It's either A, B, or C. Which one is it? Alex? It is A. If A is 5, then A squared is, Chris? 25. And 25 goes under which letter, Michael? Y. Okay? Again, I don't really know of a, and I'll fully admit this for the world to hear, I don't know if there's a formula that I can show you. You just have to kind of piece it together. All right? I'm going to change colors for the next piece. I'm going to now go from the center to the focus. The distance between 2 and negative 3. Actually, you know what? That might be too hard, because positive and negatives. What is the distance from negative 3 to this focus? That's 10, negative 7. The distance from negative 3 to negative 7, what is that distance there? Chief? It is 4. Now, what letter is represented by that number 4? Nate? Not X. C in this case. Now, if C is 4, then C squared equals 16. I use that in my CAB formula backwards to solve for B squared. What you're going to get is B squared equals 9. All right? Let's do another one like that, because these writing the equations of the ellipse problems can be really tricky. And I'm going to have you guys do one on your own before we close up shop here. Whoa, I did not want that to happen. That is what I wanted to happen. Max.
I thought on the first page of this one, to find the first value, you subtracted the verse, the distance between the two verses. You did that.
No, I didn't. Okay, the vertices are going to be negative 3, comma 8, negative 13, comma 8. And the foci are negative 5, comma 8, negative 11, comma 8. Okay, first thing, draw a picture of it. Negative 3, comma 8. Negative 13, whoa, that's way out here, comma 8. Foci are at negative 5, 8, so that's here, negative 11, 8. All right, what type of ellipse is this going to be? Devin, what kind of ellipse is this? It is horizontal, it's sideways. Good. Okay, to find the center, anyone remember how to find the center of an ellipse? How would I find the center of this thing? Nate, midpoint formula, so that's going to be center is going to be negative 3 plus negative 13 over 2, comma, 8 plus 8 over 2. Well, that's easy. Bottom one's 8. This is negative 16 over 2, so that's negative 8, comma 8. So, based on this, I can write the bulk of my equation, which is x plus 8 quantities squared plus y minus 8 quantities squared equals 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and label our points here. This is, it kind of looks like the dude from Family Guy. Negative 8, comma 8 is right here. This point here is negative 11, comma 8. And this point here is negative 3, comma 8. Okay, the distance between this negative 8 and this negative 3. What is the distance between the negative 8 and the negative 3? Julia, what do you think? 5. Okay, now Julia, what letter is represented by the number 5? Not C. C is the distance from the center to the focus. From the center to an edge is represented by the letter what, Kenna? A. So if A is 5, then A squared is 25. Where does A squared go? Use your sense about an ellipse. Ty. Under the X. Let's find C. Okay, right here. What is this? This is negative 5. What is the distance between negative 5 and negative 8? 3. So that's C, which means C squared equals 9. So it should be 9 equals 25 minus B squared. B squared equals 16. It goes here. That was 137. Guys, go ahead and try number 135 on your own. Try 135 on your own. We'll come back in a little bit. Who are my Tim Westwoods out there? What's the first thing you guys do? Chris? Graph it. So, we're at 1, 10. 1, 10. 1, 0. Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah, Matthew. Okay. And then at 1, 9 and at 1, 1. Okay, so I kind of gave away the ending of the movie, but what kind of ellipse do we have right here? Vertical. Hey, Chris, you mind closing the door all the way, please? Thanks. Thank you. Okay, so now finding the center is easy. What is the center of the ellipse this time? What's the center of the ellipse? Nate? 1, 5. Raise your hands if you agree with Nate. 1, 5. Good. So that means that it is x minus 1 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 1. Fraction, fraction. What is the length? I'm sorry, what is the value of A? What was the value of A? Alex? 5? So A squared is 25? Do we agree with Alex? Good. Where does 25 go? That's the $64,000 question right there, Chief. Underneath Y. What was B squared? What was B squared? Chris? 9.
Yeah.
Boom. Now, I had a really good question back there. We know that B equals 3, but do we need to find out whether that B equals 3? Do we need to know that? No, because we plug B squared into the equation of the ellipse, so we're good. All right. Raise your hands if you feel marginally confident about this type of problem tomorrow. Okay. All right, let's take a look at some of the questions here. I'll move backwards, starting from 114. Okay, so we're doing a hyperbola. So this is negative 9y squared plus 4x equals 149 plus 72y minus x squared. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add x squared to both sides, and I'm going to subtract 72y from both sides. At the same time, I'm going to rearrange everything. So this is going to be x squared plus 4x minus 9y squared minus 72y equals 149. Right? From here, I'm going to go and factor out my negative 9, so I get y squared plus 8y equals 149. And then I got x squared plus 4x. I'm going to leave myself some space. I'm going to add the box. Now, what's missing from one of the boxes? Lauren. Multiplied by negative 9. It has to. Not optional. So that's a 9, that's a 4, a 2, a 4, a 2, and a 4 right here. So I'm going to consolidate these. This is x plus 2 squared minus 9, parentheses y plus 4 squared equals, this is 4, this is 16. 16 times 9 is 144, and that's negative. So 149 minus 144 is 5, plus 4 is 9. Divide everything by 9 because it's a hyperbola, so I got x plus 2 squared over 9 minus y plus 4 squared over 1 equals 1. Now, we have to identify all this stuff, the center, A, B, and C, because that's going to be required of you tomorrow. What is the center of this hyperbola? So, yes. Negative 2, negative 4. Very good. So if you happen to know what A is 3. You don't have to know what B is. You know what the square root of 1 is? 1. Okay. So, anyone know what C is? Without even having to do any math. What's C? Ty? Rad 10. Correct. Let's do some math, though. C squared equals A squared plus B squared, so that's C squared equals 10. That's how you get the square root of 10 right there. Okay, so let's graph this thing. My center is at negative 2, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this a side-to-side hyperbola, or is it a top-to-bottom hyperbola? What do you think? Kirk, what do you think?
Side-to-side.
It is definitely side-to-side. Good. All right, so we are going 1, 2, 3, side-to-side, 1, 2, 3. Up and down 1. Kirk, I haven't called on you in months. Okay, diagonal asymptotes go through the boxes, or through the corners of the box. It is a side-to-side hyperbola. Apparently it's crooked also. But that's okay. We can live with that. All right, so now what I've got here is I have to identify the vertices, the focal coordinates, and the slope of the asymptotes. The vertices. Where do I always center my vertices? Chris? In the center, right? That's kind of a loaded question right there. So negative 2. Sorry, I need to get rid of some junk here. Goodbye. Okay, so negative 2, comma, negative 4. Which one gets the plus or minus? Which one gets the plus or minus? Lauren? The x, because we had to move side to side, right? Negative 2 plus or minus 3, which means the focal coordinates are negative 2 plus or minus rad 10, comma, negative 4. What is the slope of the asymptotes? What is the slope of the asymptote? Don't think of it in terms of b over a. Think of it in terms of y over x. Max? Plus or minus 1/3. Good job. All right. That's how you do that one. Long problem. Good problem, though. Conic sections are very fun. Boom. Okay, a parabola. Okay, we're being asked to graph this parabola here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use completing the square to put it in vertex form. So it's y equals, back the negative 2 out of there, so it's x squared plus 2x kick out the -1. I'm going to add the box. I'm going to add the box. And there goes a 1 and a 1 in there. I subtract the box, right? On the outside, sorry. So what I get is y equals -2 x plus 1 squared. Let's see, that's 1, so plus 0, right?
No.
No! What happens? I have to multiply this box by -2. So that is 1 times -2 is -2. So -1 minus -2 is double plus, sorry, plus 2. So that's -1 plus 2, so that's plus 1. From here, you draw the table. Okay, your vertex is -1, 1. Choose a number that's easy, 0. If I plug in 0, what do I get? Plug smart, people. What do I get when I plug in 0 into this thing? Cameron, what do you think? Too much work already. Soph? -1. Cameron, you plug it into here. 0 makes this go away, makes this go away. You end up with -1. All right? All right, -2 will get me -1 also. There's your table. You graph this thing. Its vertex is -1, 1. It's upside down. Does that. Axis of symmetry. What is the equation of the axis of symmetry? Michael. This was -1. Done. Done and done. Okay, 52 is done. 49. I believe 49 is another. Who asked for 49? Do we need to do that one or? Okay, cool. All right, keep going, people. We'll come back in a little bit. Okay, so we're writing the equation of a parabola given these pieces of information. Now, first thing I want you to do is to do what?
Graph.
Draw a picture, graph it. Okay, so we got this thing. The vertex is at 2, -1. The focus is at 2, -9/8. Okay, here's the hard part. Is -9/8 above -1 or is it below -1?
Or below.
It's below it. Because 9/8 is bigger than 1, right? And if it's negative, it's going to be smaller. So what's the only direction at which this parabola can open up? So, what is the only direction that this parabola can open up?
Ooh, bamboo.
Just shoving bamboo up my fingernails there? Okay. All right. So, we have a vertex, we have a direction. Who can raise their hand and write out the easiest part of this parabolic function? Chris. I don't know, who can write out this thing so far? Because we have enough information to write almost all of it out. Max? So it'll be x minus 2 squared, good. Okay, I see what you're doing. No. Yeah, you kept it in its transitional form, I believe is what it's called. So it should be y equals some sort of a times all of that, right? Okay. The way to find a, I'm going to go and magnify this parabola here. Okay. This is 2, -1. This is 2, -9/8. What is the distance between -1 and -9/8? What is that distance right there? Nate? 1/8. And that is equal to the letter what? C. So now we use this information to plug into our formula, which is 1 over 4a. Go ahead and cross multiply that. 4a equals 8. A equals 2. So that goes in here. So I end up with y equals 2 parentheses x minus 2 squared minus 1. But we have to start using a little bit of sense. This parabola is facing down, so it's not 2. That's my coefficient. It's -2. Max.
So how did you subtract that -2 -1?
I just used some sense. I used the difference between -1 and -9/8.
Oh.
Alright, so you add 1/8 to 1 to get 9/8. Okay. Let's do another one. And then we'll up it a notch a little bit. How about number 146? That's my vertex. My focus is going to be -9/4, 4. All right. So draw the picture of it. -2, 4, that's right here. -9/4. 9/4 is like 2 and a little bit, right? So -2 and a little bit. -2 and a fourth. Yeah. What's the only way that this parabola can be opened? Lauren? Uh-oh. To the left. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and go, this is -2, 4, and this is, it kind of looks like a fish right there, -9/4, 4. Okay, so now I can write this equation for the most part. Given the fact that this is a leftward facing parabola, is it an x equals parabola or a y equals parabola? Alex? X equals a, and then it'll be y -4 squared minus 2. I need to figure out what a is, so I'm going to go ahead and just blow up the parabola a little bit. This is -2, 4. This is negative, put this in a form you guys might recognize, -2 and a fourth. What is that distance right there? With my plant-eating thing from Mario Brothers. 1/4 equals C. Say again? The distance between -2 and -2 and a fourth is 1/4, right? Okay. So what I end up with is 1/4 equals 1/4a. Cross multiply 4 equals 4a. A equals 1. So you end up with x equals y -4 squared minus 2. Now, because this is a leftward facing parabola, it is negative. Thank you. How'd it go?
No. No.
All right, let's do another one. Okay, focus is at 7, 7, and the directrix is y equals 9. So 7, 7 is right here. The directrix is y equals 9. What is the only way at which this parabola can be opened? What do you think? Let's see. Liam, what do you think? Which way is the only way this thing can be opened? It is facing down. Now, given the fact that the focus is at 7, 7, and the directrix, would it make sense if I said that this point here was 9, 7, or 7, 9? Sorry. How would I find the vertex of that parabola? If I have 2 points here and a vertex kind of in the middle, Chris? Midpoint. So 7, 9 versus 7, 7. So that's 7 plus 7 over 2. 9 plus 7 over 2. That is 7, 16. So 7, 8. This is a y equals x minus 7 squared plus 8 with an a up top. This here is 8, 7, or what I keep doing that, reversing it. 7, 8. What is the distance between 7, 8 and 7, 7? So, what is the distance there? It is 1. And what letter is used to represent that distance, Soph? C. So that means that 1 equals 1 over 4a, a equals 1/4, so it's going to be y equals 1/4, x minus 7 squared plus 8, and don't forget that 1/4 is negative because this is a downward facing parabola.